So this video is going to be a little bit different because we have just crossed 10,000 subscribers. I know everyone always says it, but I honestly never thought I'll get here. I still remember last year when I was on holiday in Mallorca, getting really excited about 50 subscribers. And now a year and a bit later, I'm at 10,000 and it's just an amazing feeling. I'm really surprised actually 10,000 people are this interested in data science content, but it goes to show you that there is a community out there for everyone. So in this video, I want to go over just some questions I've been getting in my comment section, newsletters, about data science concepts, and about a few other things as well. Hopefully you enjoy it. We have several questions, and I'll leave timestamps below so you can go to the appropriate one if you don't want to watch the whole video. But anyway, I hope you enjoy it regardless. So the first question I've got is, I would love to know if there are good chances for a data scientist to become a freelancer. And if so, what typical work do they have compared to data scientists who typically work at big companies? Do startups usually need data scientists as well, or are the most common just bigger companies? Thank you. So there's kind of two questions in one here. So the first one was essentially about how, if there's a good chance of becoming a freelancer as a data scientist. And the answer is yes. I know many data scientists who are now freelancers, and I've known many data scientists who were always basically freelancers. It's quite a common thing to happen because, as being a freelancer, you get to, make your own hours, your own pay, work on projects you want to work on. Obviously, there's less security, you could argue, but being a freelancer is a pretty good gig. The problem with being a freelancer, I would argue, is that you kind of need experience before you can become a freelancer, right? No one's going to hire you straight out of university saying you're a data scientist freelancer. Well, they may, but it all comes down to basically your experience and your knowledge skills. And if you work for a company like Google and then you become a freelancer, then there's a lot more social proof and people will trust you, probably give you more projects in that respect. And the second part was, do startups usually need data scientists as well, or rather most big companies? No, startups do have data scientists. I would argue it's less because typically the data scientists are like the icing on the cake, or you need basically a lot of infrastructure already in the company for data scientists to be effective. Initially, when you're building a startup, you're not looking to maximize every part of your business, at least this is from my opinion. You're more looking just to build something and then product it, market it, etc. Data scientists come in later down the line when you're trying to make more data-driven decisions, but you need that data somewhere. So yes, you can have data scientists in startups. I'll be very surprised if you're a data scientist in a startup and you're one of the first 10 hires, to be honest. It'll probably be more hire 50. But again, I'm not an expert in this. This is just what I've seen out there in the market. The second question I've got is, as I'm a fresher, how I become a data scientist like you. So yeah, by fresher, for those of you who don't know what that means in the US, a fresher is basically a first year university student. So the way I recommend, if you're a fresher or first year university or college to become a data scientist is, well, I don't really know what you're studying, but hopefully you're studying, either a STEM subject. Ideally, you should study something like CS, maths, statistics, physics to an extent, but I'd actually argue those three subjects are probably more applicable than physics. Then, whilst at university or college, make sure you take as many statistics modules as possible. So learn all about the range of stats, maths, and computer science if possible. So make sure you kind of have all your modules in place if you're not doing one of those subjects anyway. And also try and do any computational projects or modules that offer that, because that's something to talk about on your CV. And if possible, this is what I really recommend, is try and get an internship somehow in your summers, whether that be at a university, at a local company, just anything. From my experience, if you even have one internship in data science, then that really opens up a lot of doors when you're applying for graduate roles or entry-level positions after you graduate. So if possible, there's so many ways of getting internships out there. I've even done a video on it. And apart from that, follow a data science roadmap. I also have loads. So while you're doing all the studying, applying for internships, if you want to also learn things in your spare time that's not directly related to your university work, then follow a data science roadmap. I'll link on screen here a video you can check out, which is how I would learn data science if I was starting again. So the third question I've got is, do you create your own machine learning models or you use already existing ones Is creating customized models easy, and how do I start? Yeah, so typically as you progress your data science career, most companies will use their own models or build their own models. By own is a weird word because we will build our own models, but we use libraries like CatBoost, XGBoost, PyTorch, etc. So we're not literally building neural networks from scratch. We're using existing packages to build our models, but they're not off the shelf in the same way. Like we have to do all the features, the hyperparameter tuning, the formulation of the problem. So it's really just a tool, but we do build the models technically from scratch ourselves. In terms of how easy it is, it's like anything. The more you do it, the easier it gets. I would say, I think when I was about 6 months into my first data science graduate scheme, I felt pretty comfortable in building models. Again, like I said, it just takes practice. It's not overly difficult. Once you know Python, syntax, and a bit about machine learning, then it's pretty simple. But obviously, there's an art to building a model. It's not as simple as just giving it data and it will learn. You have to be more creative, understand your domain. There's a real skill gap and, like I said, art involved in building machine learning models that a lot of people sometimes oversee. The next question is, what are your thoughts on a 35-year-old deciding to learn data science in order to build a career in the field? Well, I would say, to be honest, your age doesn't matter, particularly if you're 35. Nothing wrong with changing careers later on. You're still young, 35. I mean, again, don't take proper life advice from me because I'm 25. But if you imagine that you work till 60, 65, like the retirement age in most countries, then if you're 35, let's say, conservative estimate, you kind of get your first data science job at 40, then that's a good 20 years you have working in a career you really like. So in my opinion, if you don't like your current job and you're willing to make a sacrifice for 5 years, I don't know exactly your situation, then to be honest, you have a 20-year long career in something you really, really like and you really enjoy that time. So don't be afraid of pivoting or changing. Again, I'm 25, haven't lived a full life at all, so maybe I'll feel differently about this later on. But from what I've seen from my colleagues, many of them have pivoted into data science in like their early 30s and they don't regret it. They went back to university, upskilled, and then got a job they really like, and they moved up the ranks really quickly because they're also older, have more professionalism about them, they understand how organizations work. So if anything, you probably accelerate through the levels the older you are, and the more if you do decide to upskill. The fifth question I've got is, do data scientists need to learn about fine-tuning LLM applications? And what scenarios do data scientists use deep learning, NLP techniques, etc.? So I think I've said this before in a few of my videos. Many companies, from what I know, don't really use LLMs, or they say they do, but you're not going to really work on LLMs and all this cutting-edge technologies unless you're working at a big research lab or your team is specifically designed to focus on that. So I'm sure like Meta, Google, all have teams dedicated to LLMs, but most data scientists will just use regular machine learning models like XGBoost, neural networks, things like that, right? You're hardly going to work in a place where LLMs are needed. So no, you don't need to learn LLMs and all this tuning stuff if you want to be a data scientist. So many jobs that require it, and in fact it's a minority, so there'll be so much opportunity out there for you anyway. And the second part of your question is, what scenarios do data scientists use deep learning techniques? Well, deep learning can be used anywhere, technically, right? It's a supervised learning problem. You can apply it to any supervised learning problem, which is loads of problems. But the problem with deep learning is that explainability, you need a lot of data, and it's just harder to set up. So areas like recommendation systems would use deep learning quite a lot. Same with NLP, we use recommendation systems. So it does exist and it's out there. Again, I wouldn't be hell-bent on becoming a data scientist if you want to work on just deep learning, because a lot of the commercial and businesses I've worked in, this is not really done. I've rarely seen neural networks actually applied successfully, or if at all. So no, you don't need to be a data scientist. You can become a great data scientist by just learning the fundamentals of ML, statistics, and having good business sense. The final question I've got is, what advice would you give to someone just starting out and looking to diversify their income sources? Yeah, so without going into the question straight away, I'm not a financial advisor. Nothing I'm going to give is financial advice. In terms of diversifying your income sources, I'm not an expert on this, I'm not a finance channel, but I do have a bit of diversity in my income, as you probably see from one of my previous videos. In a nutshell, there's different ways. Investing is the easiest way to start because you don't really need to do anything. What you do, you need to put money into your investments. But apart from that, there's quite a low barrier to entry. Like I said, I've done a whole video on investing. Most of my investments are in the S&P 500, blue chip stocks, and a bit in crypto. Again, do your own research, but investing is a good way to diversify your income stream. That's quite easy and low maintenance on your end. Other ways, there's so many different possibilities. Obviously, I do content. You earn money from content. Content is kind of hard because it takes a while to get things off the ground. And even now, I'm not exactly making millions at all. I've been doing this for a few years at this current point in time. So content's a good way. It's enjoyable. You learn things. It's fun. Like I said, like if you want to do content, then do content. Just realize it's a long-term game. And that if you do want to monetize, you're going to have to look elsewhere and build other products in order to make a sustainable income from it. But if you want to do content, then I recommend YouTube by far. YouTube, long-form content, build an audience is probably the best platform for that. Things like TikTok, Instagram are also useful, but you don't build that same kind of relationship with your audience like you would on YouTube. You can also start blogging on Medium. That's something else I do that generates a bit of income. So there's many possibilities out there. You just got to choose a platform that you like and get to work on it. The other method you can make money, which is probably what most people recommend, is provide a service-based business. So by service-based would mean like, take me as a data scientist. I could then go and sell my data science skills to companies who are looking for basically like contract work or like a freelance work. That's probably an easier way of making side income if you want, but again, it's not scalable. So what's going to happen is the more you work, the more money you'll get. But again, like content is scalable, so you may not get as many kind of much benefit from it early on, at least financially, but over time it will scale and the work you put into it will kind of be asymmetric to the reward you'll get, hopefully. So those are some ideas. Again, loads of people have done videos on this. I'm by far not an expert, but the one I recommend, I think everyone should try and start, at least invest your money somehow. Again, don't know what that means to invest your money. Investing money means different things to different people, but having somewhere that your money grows and you don't touch it is a great starting point. I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, it's a bit rambly. I probably didn't make all my points very crystal clear, but it's just a subscriber Q&A. I'm not trying to optimize for any form of retention. So again, hope you liked it. I hope you found the questions useful. Send me any more questions that you need or you want, and I'll answer them in my spare time. I can even book a mentoring call with a link down below where we can discuss things on a more one-to-one basis for about half an hour, if that's something that interests you. Again, thank you so much for 10,000 subscribers. I am really shocked we got here, to be honest. When I see that number, it's kind of surreal in a way. I don't know how far this will grow, but I'm just looking to make a video every week indefinitely. I don't really give myself time scales. I just go with the process, try to get better and try and provide more and more value to you guys out there. So I'm glad 10,000 people are enjoying this content and that means a lot to me.